What is happening, collectors? Today we are going to be talking about ISA Grading. Now, this is a grading company you may or may not be aware of, but they offer some really cool things, and we're going to talk about them in depth today. And I actually have a return from them. I know you guys have probably seen a number of different reviews I've done for different grading companies, and I wanted to do ISA Grading. Now, I should mention that someone from ISA actually reached out to me because they saw one of my videos, they enjoyed my review, and they thought it would be great for me to have an opportunity to try their service and then give truly an honest review. So I was able to send in 10 cards in total. I sent in 5 Pokemon cards and I sent in 5 sports cards because I really wanted to see the difference between, the different types of cards and how they are graded. So before we get into that, I do want to show you on screen, you're going to see the website. I want to show you kind of what to expect from the grading company. And as you can see here, that you can obviously submit right on the website, but this is how their card looks. And it does have some interesting, unique features, I will say, and we'll get into that in a little bit later. But I wanted to just show you a few details about the website. They do have certificate verification. And again, I'm going to show you that when we look at the cards. And then I want to take a look at the grading scale as well. So right when we go to the top here, let's just go to the About page where it actually breaks down a little bit about the company. Now, what you'll see is this isn't a new company. They've actually been around since 2010. And, it is really interesting when I was looking through the history of the company, this big giveaway. They gave away a ISA 10 Michael Jordan rookie card. Man, do I wish I knew about that, because I would have definitely entered into that. But as of 2016, they graded 100,000 different cards. In January 2020, they celebrated their 10-year anniversary, which is incredible, and they were named in 2021 one of the top 6 grading companies of 2020. So they have made some big improvements, and certainly with security features as well. New grading companies, they have an uphill battle, but for a company that has been around for 10 years, is really encouraging, and they're doing something different. They're not just being a me too, which is what I really liked about them. So now looking at the website again, I wanted to take a look at the certificate verification. So this is where you can actually enter the code to confirm it is a real graded card. And also on the back, there is a QR code, so you're able to scan it and it brings it up saying when it was graded, who was graded, what the card was graded. So that's a really nice security feature. Now I want to jump back and I will get into the grading scale, because that is an important part of any grading company. So we're going to kind of look through this, and it's from 1 to 10, like a lot of grading companies, and they do have 0.5s, but we're going to talk about that in a quick second. So a Gem Mint 10, and what I wanted to mention that was really interesting, here they talk about, the flawlessness or the eye appeal, things like that. But in terms of centering, they talk about the front of the card has to be between 50-50 and 55-45. Whereas PSA, as an example, they are 60-40 on the front, and then on the back, 75-25, which is the same as ISA and PSA. So they actually are a little bit tougher on the centering than PSA, as an example. But when you look at a BGS, they're a little bit harder. So it is a little subjective to how perfect you want a card to be a 10 or to be a Gem Mint card. So I thought that was something that was worth noting. And when you scroll down, it does give you a description and what the expectations are of anything from, a 1 to a 10. And now if I scroll all the way to the bottom, as I mentioned, you can get half-point grades, but those go from ISA 1 to 8. So they don't do a 9.5 similar to PSA, which is very interesting. And also, for what it's worth, you can get authenticated signature cards as well. That is something that ISA does provide. And when we go to the frequently asked questions page, this is where it talks about where do I ship my cards, and they're out of Michigan, by the way, for those that are wondering. And yes, international customers, you can be a part of this as well. Fellow Canadians, you can also get graded through ISA. And then right on the website, there are forms, there are PDF versions, as well as interactive forms that you can fill out right onto your device or on your computer, and we're going to look at that in a quick moment. And at the same time, we're going to be talking about what the services cost, how to do the determined value of the cards, how do you package them, things like that. And actually, just to talk about packaging, you use a semi-rigid card holder. That is always the best. As an example, Card Saver 1, these are great ones to use. Grading companies just really like them because it protects the card, but it's easy to remove them so they can grade them without damaging your card. Now, if we head back to the home page, we click Submit Now. And this is where it gives you the breakdown of all the different pricing options and how fast you can get them back. So 2 business days, 5 business days, 10 business days, and sometimes they do have specials as well. And on screen, I actually just did get an email today about a November special. So you can use this code and it gets your cards back a little bit faster without an additional fee. So that's something, you know, it's worth it if you are submitting in the month of November 2022. So now as you see here, they give you the option of a PDF submission. So I'm gonna just do the PDF submission here and just show you how it works. It's very similar to a lot of other grading companies, pretty straightforward. And for those that have never submitted grading cards before, it's really not that difficult. It just takes a little bit of time and I don't think you'll have an issue doing it. So looking here, it just asks you to fill out the cards. What's the sport or hobby, if it's Pokemon as an example, how many of them, what year is it, what the set name is, the card number, the player name, and the declared value. You're going to be putting in your ship to address there, of course, and then what the preferred shipping method is back to you. Obviously, you're going to then be putting in your credit card information there, and then doing the calculation to how much they should be charging you for the different cards they're going to be grading. And then on the last page here, we've got the shipping rates. So this is depending on how many cards you're going to be sending in and how much it's going to cost you to get them shipped back to you. And then they've got all the rules and instructions that you're going to want to peruse at your leisure. So that is how you do the PDF submission and where you're going to actually print it out, handwrite it. But there is an online submission as well. And this is how I actually did it. Now, you're going to have to create an account and get all that, and get a password, all that good stuff. But you're going to select new order, and then this is where you're going to actually just go through and type in all that information that we talked about earlier and continue to add new cards. It tallies them up here, and then this is where you enter your personal information with your address, all that good stuff, when, how fast you want it returned, what pricing option are you looking for, and then potentially that promo code that I did mention a little bit earlier. Then you're going to complete all this information, and then you're going to submit it. It's really that easy. You're going to have a confirmation piece of paper that you're going to want to print out. You're going to want to put in with the package and then send it on. And the nice part is when they do receive it, you are going to receive an email confirmation that your cards have been received. And of course, I would recommend tracking the cards yourself, maybe putting insurance on that shipment as well, because these are certainly valuable cards or even sentimental cards that you want to make sure they arrive to ISA safe and sound and in good time. So it's pretty straightforward. So now we're going to take a look at the actual cards and what I had submitted, and I'm really excited to share this with you. Before we look at the grades, guys, if you could, please leave a like on this video if you find this content useful. And also, I would love it if you consider subscribing to this channel. So as you see here, I've opened it up. I took a little peek-see first. I'm sorry, but this is the ISA grading. This is the box that it comes in. You got some paperwork in there. It is wrapped in the bubble wrap very, very nicely. So we are going to look through all of these together. And again, I mentioned I've got 5 sports cards and 5 Pokemon cards. So we're going to just show you. Now, before I flip it over, this is what the back looks like here. So you've got a QR code, you've got your number, and then it has the date that it was actually authenticated on, which is really nice. So right here, this is nothing fancy. Trust me, they get a little bit better here. But this is just a promo card. I thought this would be a fun one to submit. And how the actual front of it looks. Now it does look similar to I would say PSA, not saying that necessarily in a bad way, but it does look familiar, which is what I like. I mean, I like having my particular graded cards that are on display. I like them to have somewhat of a similar look. Now, a few things you will notice right away. Look at that little black piece on the inside. Now, that is very similar to a Canadian grading company called KSA. They have a very similar type of like foam insert that keeps the card in place. Some people like it, some people don't like it. What I really like about it is that it really makes the card pop, in my opinion. You can't see what's behind it. It just really puts the focus on the card. You have the little cutouts there for the corners, just so it does protect them. So I thought this was actually really, I just like that it's different. They're not just trying to do what every other company does. I thought this was really nice. And actually you can see here, it says ISA right on the case as well. So when we look at this particular one, it is a Gem Mint 10. and it's got the code there as well, international sports authentication. And I wanted to show you just comparable, and I'm going to disappear here because I want to show you this is what it looks like versus PSA. So it has a similar, you got the colorful stripe around the outside. You've got the PSA versus ISA, and one versus the top versus the bottom. What I like about ISA is that the number is a little more prominent, and I thought that was kind of a nice touch, because really that's what you're displaying the card, but of course you want to display the grade proudly. Maybe not so much a PSA 7 here, but I just really like it. Looks a little bit more modern, but it pops. I think they did a great job with the design. So let's move on to the next card. Let's see what we got. Ooh, yes, we've got a Mewtwo V. So this is from Pokemon Go, relatively new set. I like Mewtwo. I like alternate arts like this, and I like Pokemon Go. So I thought this one was a good one to grade. Now I got a 9 on it. And when I was looking at it closely, I was like, okay, now I don't get a breakdown of why it was graded a 9, and that's okay. But I do want to talk to that a little bit later. There's something really cool to show you. I can tell the centering is not perfect on the front. I can tell that the back, let's just take a peek here. Let's just take a quick peek. I don't see any whitening. I don't see anything there, but the centering was not perfect. It was not perfect, and that's okay. So I mean, there may be a blemish somewhere, but they are a little bit strict, and that's okay. I think that is an important part. Is you do want some. You want to believe that the grades aren't just fictitious, that they do uphold the actual quality of the card, and that's important. And something I should mention as well, these are really slick cases. They are quite thin profile, and if I show you versus a PSA, it is a very similar thickness. If it were in focus, you would be able to see, yeah, so there you go. They have a very similar profile. The card case is roughly the same, maybe a smidge bigger, but very similar to PSA. These nest together very nicely. They nest together extremely well. So that's very cool there. So let's take a look to see what is next. We've got a Radiant Charizard, another one from Pokemon Go. I love me some Charizards, so that's really cool, and it comes back as a 10, so that's pretty good. Always happy with a 10. I can see the centering is not perfect, but it's pretty darn close on the front. And the back looks about perfect, which is great. So, I just really like the look. And when I lean it back there, again, the card, it almost seems like it's popping out of the case because of that black border, which I really do like. So let's continue on. I'm not going to take all day here. Oh yeah, look at that. Charizard V. This is the alternate art from Brilliant Stars, which is really nice. Centering was not perfect on this one, and that's why I got a 9. So that makes perfect sense there, but still a very good looking card. And then my last Pokemon card is another Mewtwo. So we got two Charizards, 2 Mewtwo's. This alternate art, I knew this card was not perfect. Came back as an 8. That's okay. There's actually some damage on the back of it as a result of how they stacked cards. And if you know anything about Shining Legends, they were infamous for stacking the cards before they were dry, and that resulted, and the centering is just not perfect on that, but that's okay. Still a beautiful card. So now let's get into some sports cards here. So I got myself a Trevor Zegras Upper Deck Canvas. So this is a Young Guns. This is his rookie card, but as a canvas version. Came back as a 10, which is fantastic. And on screen, I'm sure I've been showing you the rough idea of what I think the cards are worth. And now we've got a Tim Stutzel. He another Young Gun rookie card for the Ottawa Senator there. Came back as a 10. I like that. That's really cool. Now, this is the one that I wanted to show you here. So this is Jason Robertson. It's a Young Gun card as well. I'm going to show you. It's an 8.5. That's perfect. I really wanted to see what a 0.5 would look like, and where that classification and maybe justification as to why they gave 0.5 gradings. And it sounds like it has a lot to do with eye appeal. So they may look at it and say, okay, this is not quite a 9, but it is worth an 8, but from the front, it looks really good. So that's kind of why they give you the 0.5s. They're not as common, similar to PSA, but what I thought was really interesting here is they gave a courtesy feedback. So it gives you an explanation as to why did it get an 8.5, or why did it get that grade, just as an idea. And I thought this was really nice. And for those interesting, that's what the card looks like from the front. So when we look at this here, courtesy feedback, and they actually give you an idea of what is going on. So where is there a defect or where is there an issue? And this one tells you it's at the front or at the top corner. And if we take a close look there, you can see, yeah, there is a little imperfection right in the corner, which, you know, to be expected, and that's okay. So that's kind of a neat thing that they have included as well. Now let's take a quick peek here. We got PK Subban, his Young Guns from 2010, came back as an ISA 9. Not a perfect card. I'm pretty sure I bought this one off of eBay, if I'm not mistaken. I always loved PK Subban, and he actually just recently retired. In between me submitting this and getting it back, he retired, which is fascinating. So very interesting player, very eccentric, and really great for the city of Montreal. When he was in Montreal, did a lot of donations with the local hospital, which, you know, that's another story, another video there. And then lastly, we've got a checklist for Alexander Ovechkin. I have his rookie card gladly, because it is going to be worth a good amount, I think, in the future, as he has a very good opportunity to break the goal record of Wayne Gretzky that no one ever thought would be broken. So that's really cool. And this one came back as a 10. So I am happy to have that one. And then this is Jeff Carter, another great player from that year. So worth mentioning. That's it for today. If you guys could, please leave a like on this video, consider subscribing, and hope you have an amazing day.